Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're looking at another one of the figures that we have collected here not too recently, so and so. We have Q90. So Q90, looking up on StarWars.com, is a bug-eyed protocol droid with a modified programming. Q90, or just Zero to his colleagues, operate with a precise timing. So essentially, he's just a modified protocol droid. I've said it, a couple different times before. I really enjoy the droids because it adds an extra flavor of things that we just don't typically have here today. So when you get, kind of off the beat aliens or droids or something like that, I find some of that stuff really interesting. So the bug-eyed droid, and this is really the same thing that's listed here. Operates with precision timing here. I really wish I had more to the character, but we do get him from The Mandalorian. We see him just briefly in here. It's not a long established character. So, as far as that goes, maybe there's some other stuff in some of the other comic books that might be coming out or whatever, but just has not been updated. I know it's the Star Wars The Mandalorian, and as I picked it up, I'm just looking at it as, hey, different protocol droid, different droid that we can use. It's always an interesting thing to me. So let's get them opened up and let's see what we actually have. Now, I find it interesting because we're taking the protocol droid based off of the same style that C-3PO was. And I think it was Cybot Technology or whatever that he was based off of. Some of their proprietary parts and everything else. I think it was like Cybot Galactica or something like that. And I'm going to get this messed up because I really have not looked him up in a while. Although, maybe what I should do is I should kind of pause things and look it up. They go crinkle here. Get the packaging all out of our way. Okay. But yeah, I mean, he's got a different head sculpt to him. He does have a lot of the same features that we're used to for a 3PO, except if you ever really notice, 3PO is almost always got his arms a little bit together or on a bend here, because he's got those struts here. Okay, so what we've done is we've eliminated those struts, and now we have him operating a little bit more on the more humanish form, a little less clumsy, but it's interesting because when we go back to, or when we go to watching the Phantom Menace, and we understand that Anakin is the actual creator of 3PO. So building them off of some of the junk parts that we get, maybe he had the struts here to help for lifting or whatever else the case may be, but he didn't have better servo motors to facilitate some of that else, the heavier lifting capabilities. So in those regards, when you actually have a human making something, you always have something unique. What we see during the Clone Wars is you have droids building droids, and it's funny because we do actually have 3PO talking about how much of a heresy that really seems to him, because he wants to feel that the droids were created for a purpose by human hands, or humanoid hands, either way. So in those regards, I mean, it's, as a droid's put together and goes through the programming and everything else, they have their own experiences. So they're completely unique characters and everything else. So let's kind of go through our normal steps here. We do have our standard ankle joint here, which is good. That means that we can kind of give them a wider leg base here. Let's try and stand if we have them holding something heavier, whatever. We can do that. Otherwise, we can do a narrow base. with his feet together and hope that he stands up, and he's doing a pretty good job here today. All right. The unfortunate part, I don't think he's got the double knee. He's only got the single knee joint, so that's going to limit as far as how much we can still maneuver. So if you're going to use him in different situations, that does limit it. This is also a swivel joint in here, so we can turn the knee. There are stops on the front and the back, so that does limit as to how much we can do that. And of course, we do have a swivel joint up here, which does help facilitate whatever maneuvering we're trying to do. We don't have any swivel below the knee. And of course, this does have the ball joint here, so we can kind of have him do a little bit of a kick if we needed to, or if he's trying to get off of a vehicle or so on and so forth, we could do that. You know, he's got the LBE, load bearing equipment, so he's got the webbed belt, and you know, this is all LBE equipment here. And I can see in here, and we can see it a little bit better in the back, that he does have a little separation there. To what degree can we do this? Now he can kind of pivot back a little bit more. So if you want him to kind of stand back like he's surprised, we could do that. We could have him forward. He's not going to be doing crunches. So, you know, we can't have him doing fitness routines or anything. But, you know, we have some other posability options here. Now the head, you know, we can kind of go back and forth. So that does kind of help. So if you want to give him a kind of quizzical look, like, what? You know, kind of thing. You know, we could do that. The arms, I only see the single joint. No, he does have a little bit of a second joint, so we can bring the arm back a little bit more, like if he's trying to throw something here. You know, we have the wires here, so that's really going to limit as far as how much we can do that. And it does, you know, right now it's loose, but if I do this, it kind of starts pulling the yellow wire taunt, so we're not going to do too much. And he's only got the single elbow connector here, so that's going to limit things a little bit too, which is fine. You know, he's going to have a little bit of limited maneuverability, and of course he's got the same gun, which is really a pistol with a stock, that we see Boba Fett using later on. So I don't know if this is then going to be determined as a carbine or as possibility a disintegration rifle. If I can only speak here today. Okay. Now let's see if I can get this into his hand, because we do have this notch here, and I'm just trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to get the thumb in there. Alright, here, can we do finger in there? No, yeah. Okay, we're getting there. It looks a little ungainly at the moment, but we're getting there. Oh, that's got to go above. Yeah, this does not. Alright, let's just point out, whoever designed this did not think about putting that in there the best. Because the thumb hole is a little lower than what we really want it. At least that's the way it looks to me. So whoever did this didn't really think this through all the way. We're going to make it work somehow. I'm just trying to figure this out. Thankfully I didn't clip my thumbnail. So I usually try to keep that a little longer for doing the Legos. Yeah, that's just not going to work out as well. You know what? I might just give him a different blaster and call her it. But, you know, it's just sometimes when we're doing this stuff, and I'm guilty of this too. You know, you see me when I'm doing my other videos and for the ships and stuff like that, and sometimes I'm thinking about it, and then, yeah, I think that looks right, and then all of a sudden I'll look at the stats and I'm like, no, that doesn't really make sense. This itself, the way this is designed, I'm going to try and see if I can't get him to hold this on the other side. This might work a little bit better on the other side, because I don't have the trigger finger. So It works better on this side than it does on the other because we don't have the trigger finger going in there, or maybe that's just something I'll have to think about on the other side if I do that. Either way, we do have him holding the rifle. Yeah, it's okay-ish, but because that doesn't sit exactly the way it should, that's a little bit of a problem. But it is funny because you can see where we actually have the hammer that can come down from this being, say, like an old, nice, heavy 45, or even a 44 Magnum. But it's got its stock here, and of course we have our scope up on top. So, yeah, nice long barrel here. Maybe you call it a carbine. In the Old West, that's what your carbine would be. It'd just be a shorter barreled rifle with a revolver cylinder in there, so that way you had a better chance of being able to shoot a couple more. And really, the funny thing is from my knowledge, a lot of those carbines were really given out to more of your mounted soldiers, where your actual foot infantry at that time probably would have had lever action. And the reason why, you're trying to hold on to the reins and then shoot, so you can't do the lever action as easily. Of course, then we get the rifleman, and then he's got that, he can swing that sucker around, and that was ever so neat to watch in the old black and white. A lot of kids grew up watching that, especially before me, and I got to watch a little bit of reruns of that, so I know I'm an old man. It's an interesting character. I don't really have a huge background on the character outside of just that little bit of text that we get for the Mandalorian and what's really just on the back side of the box. But it is an interesting character nonetheless. Even if you switched him up and gave him a different gun or something, that would work well. I don't see that being too much of an issue. He could just be I don't really remember I know I watched The Mandalorian. I didn't mind The Mandalorian. I thought it was a pretty good series. The Book of Boba Fett, I kind of, it was okay-ish, but they really changed Boba Fett from everything else that was done in the expanded universe. And it will always just be the expanded universe, not the Legacy or Legends or whatever they want to call it today. But in those regards, it's a nice character. We do have limitations as to how you want to maneuver them, put them into places or something, and that's going to be perfectly fine because, sometimes as a droid, if it's based off of a protocol droid, you don't expect them to be able to just jump through everything. And then once we start outfitting him, because he does seem like he's got different legs than what 3PO had. So that's going to give him a little bit better. And if you also remember, 3PO even had those little connectors in the back of his legs. So that does change things, how he can maneuver and everything. But, like I said, still an interesting character. With that, thanks for visiting. It's always great having you stop by. Hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next video.